Hello, everybody, and welcome to Giggly Witches. Wee! This is no. Somebody just commented. Anyway, we'll get there. This is
Welcome to episode 15.
And we once again have a very fun guest, my friend Hannah.
She's back.
Welcome, Hannah.
I'm back.
Round two.
You know the TikTok sound that's like this is Valentina, she's an ally. Talk, Valentina. And then she's like, ally. That's what that just made me think of, where I was like, hi, Hannah. It was like, talk, Hannah.
Talk, Hannah. Yeah, you said somebody commented, but then we got distracted with
Someone commented on the YouTube. I literally saw it right before we started, and when we were talking about s'mores in one episode, she was like, Sadie, you like add a syllable, and you kept saying s'mores.
No,
wrong.
S'more.
S'mores.
Makes my tongue feel wrong.
It's like smudge. Say smudge.
So much. No, I'm just kidding. Smudge. No, smudge.
Yeah.
Smudge?
Yes.
S'mores.
Yes.
S'mores.
Yeah. And then also in that episode, I don't know if anyone else caught it, because I know you didn't, which makes me also laugh. But at one point I said, "You're killing me, Smalls." And you like moved right past it. I was like, I don't know, maybe she just didn't hear me. But for anyone that knows The Sandlot, that's what that's right.
Sorry that I blew past that. That deserved a pause and a laugh.
Thank you.
And I hope we can.
Now it's gotten its time to shine. Just now. Anyway, time for Silly Goofy. I don't like being in charge.
I almost just spit it. I was like, Pam's doing the intro this week. Well, she said, should I? And I said, please. And I think you did a really good job.
Thank you so much.
This is one of many episodes you're going to intro.
I saw somebody, well, I guess I heard because it was on a podcast, but she got to her 25th episode, and apparently like a very large percentage of podcasts don't actually make it to their 25th episode. So maybe we should have a celebration in 10 more weeks.
Yeah. 9 more. No, 10 more.
Anyway, does anyone have any for the week? Listen, we're not mathematicians here. We talk to dead people.
About the number 15, I thought about the number 25, and I went, yeah, that's only 9.
That's only 9.
I made sure to bring my tissue this time.
I'm crying. Oh my god. Okay. It's Silly Goofy time. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
For everybody here. We're all psychics here.
Okay.
Do you have like a Silly Goofy with a spirit? Like maybe it was at a reading, maybe it was a personal experience, your own meditation and dream. Do you have like a Silly Goofy paranormal or like spiritual experience to share?
I do. If Hannah, you want to keep thinking.
I have one. It wasn't really Silly Goofy in the moment, but it was later.
Okay.
And actually, I think I told you about this. Was it like the other day? Whenever I was working through fear of like going to bed, and like I was doing a lot of like, I think it was after a house clearing, and I was like, I felt like there was something in my room, and I called in Archangel Azrael, and I was like, okay, and I'm like, I was asking him, is there anything in my energetic field? And he was like, no, but I kept thinking like, okay, but I feel like there is. And I was freaking out. He was like, will you stop? Like, chill out.
Yeah.
He like went off on me in a loving way. But just looking back on the way he like told me, like, will you please calm down.
Yes.
You are being so dramatic right now. There is nothing here. Relax.
That's how he is. That's why, like, when I
He
first
is.
started working with him, I was like, he hates me. Hannah's like, he's literally an angel. That's not a thing. Like,
Yeah.
like, he's literally an angel. They don't hate
They
me.
don't hate.
No, they get annoyed. They get
He
really
was
annoyed.
so annoyed because I kept like, I would ask him every single question like 7 times. And then at one point he was just like, girl, like, you're so annoying. Like, you have to stop. But yeah, my silly goofy was in a session with you, Hannah. Well, like a mentorship session. But you had people in your house, dead people in her house. And
You had dead people.
not guests. These were not
Normal
guests.
things that people say.
And part of my mentorship was like me talking to them and like us moving them on. Moving them into the light. And there was one guy who I was just like asking questions. I was like, okay, like, what are you doing here? Like, what's your thing? He said, I'm just looking for my family. And I was like, okay, well, like, you guys are dead, so they're probably like on the other side now. Like, would you like to move on? He goes, yeah, if that's where my family is, then
obviously.
Okay, my guy, let's go. like, all right. And then in that same session, Hannah was like, okay, like, do you see anyone else there? And I was like, no, but I feel like there's something else here. And then I realized it was a dog. And then Hannah was like, oh, I think he was following around Winston on our hike. And then I just started bawling. I was like, he just wanted a friend. I just like kept crying. And I was like, maybe animal communication isn't for me. Because that was something
I remember when that
happened to do.
You texted me.
Yes. I think we talked about it. It was like during our business mentorship too, I think. And I was just like, I really like wanted to do animal communication. And I was like, I don't think I could do this. Like, this is not for me. Because I am upset. But yeah, that's mine. Do you have a silly spirit encounter?
Okay. Well, I have 2. One was just the first mediumship reading I ever got with medium Megan Hart. I always say the full name. I don't know why. But medium Megan Hart, who ended up then being my mediumship mentor after this. But I had never, this was at the beginning of my, spiritual journey. I had never really I had never experienced a reading at all, let alone a mediumship reading, which is, exceptionally crazy. And I wasn't really like, I didn't necessarily not believe. I had never really considered my opinion on the matter, I guess, because I wasn't a non-believer, but I wasn't like now I'll be like defendant. I'll be like, yeah, it's definitely possible. It's definitely real. Right. Like I was just kind of like neutral. So, and I have to give a little context of my mom, but first of all, my mom, everyone says I'm just the same person. She's very silly, goofy. She's very weird. She was also really into fitness, which is important. So, and my whole family, we like tease and joke around a lot. So Megan's doing this reading for me and she's laughing and she's like, spirit can present themselves however they want to. And she's like, this might sound kind of weird, but like your mom's in like workout shorts and a sports bra. And she's like doing these, like, she's like acting silly and doing these like flexing poses. I was like, and I started bawling. So I was like, that's my fucking mom. Like, she's always like, I'm like more ripped than you, whatever. Cause she was super into fitness and she's this little petite lady, whatever. So I was laughing so hard right from the beginning. Oh, it froze a little bit.
There you are.
Okay. So I was like bawling but laughing. So I was like, this is definitely my mom. Of course she presents herself like this. And then the other funny thing is Megan was like, I'm so sorry, but I feel like she's kind of like making fun of your dad. And she was just saying stuff about like, oh, he's so serious all the time, like saying all these like jokes that totally made sense, and is with how she would kind of like playfully, like, I don't know, like flirt with him, I guess, when she was. So that was just so cool that her sense of humor came through. But poor Megan was just like, I feel so bad. She's like, I don't want to make fun of your dad. I'm like, it's not you, it's my mom.
She's like, how do I share this?
Yeah, she felt so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my God, that's so spot on my mom's personality. It was so cool. And then one of my own personal experiences with just a very funny young man that had passed on. It was during the mentorship, and so it was like a test reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this picture of this young man, and I did the reading, and I was like, and when I kind of went through the interview, so to speak, and like how he died was like he was like sick in a hospital bed. I felt like it was cancer, whatever, but he kept showing him like mountain biking and like hang gliding, and like he was like, this isn't how I was supposed to die. I was supposed to die in a way cooler way, and he kept like kind of like joking about that. And so I felt like weird. I was like, he was showing me all these ways that he thinks he should have died instead of like slowly in a hospital room. But it was spot on and whatever. And it was just really cute that like, he was kind of like joking with me, and like it's so cool in mediumship. Like you feel the person's personality in there.
Yeah.
And it was for his like fiance or at the time, or wife. And she was like, oh my God, yeah, of course you would say that. Like, how I was supposed to die in a cooler way. So that was silly goofy, and it made me laugh, and it was really cute.
I love that. I love that.
That's my silly goofy. Okay, whose silly goofy is next?
Hannah, do you have any silly goofies?
The only thing I have, and it's not really that big, but I have an altar in my office that's pretty short. And I've been thinking lately, I want to spruce it up and actually give it more meaning. But the other day, I saw Winston like coming out of my office with something in his mouth, and he got on my altar, grabbed something, and shredded it. And then the next night, he did the same thing with Jesus's cross. And I like to believe that he's trying to boost me to update my altar. I know that he's bored and is just looking for things to do. I'm like, can you not chew up Jesus's cross though, please? I got that. I think I got that in Egypt.
Oh my God.
Oh,
no. Yeah, and I'm like, motherfucker. I was so mad. But yeah, that's my silly goofy for the week.
oh my God,
I love that.
Pam?
Okay. I had a couple, but maybe I'll keep it brief. So my silly goofy also involves crying again, but in a funny way. And I texted you both about this, so just pretend like you're laughing again.
The first time.
Yeah. But I just think it's so funny. So my strongest clair is clairsentience. And that's like clear feeling. So I really feel all of the like, oh, I saw that. That was a big chill.
I keep getting chills here. I'm like, I just moved into this Airbnb. I'm like, shit, is this place haunted? I keep getting chills.
They're joining the podcast.
Yeah, they're like, we have spooky stories to tell.
I can't do this right now. I mean, yeah, I guess the veil is thinning. The spirits are coming.
Yeah.
I learned something really cool, actually. Can I interject for one moment?
I guess.
Sorry, because I'll forget.
I started having a note so I can write things down because I just forget.
But I learned that the churches here start ringing their bells for like an hour every day, starting 2 weeks before Dia de los Muertos, because it the sound vibrations help the spirits come.
Oh, yeah. Come.
Yeah,
I would think
they like
clear, like sound cleansing.
it's like the frequency allows them to like, so I'm like, oh, they're all just whooshing in right now. Everybody's coming to town.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ah.
That's so cool.
But isn't that cool? Yeah.
It's a very long time.
Had a church next to me. Maybe this place will have a church, but somebody else that's in Mexico City, I saw her post about it on her stories and you could hear the bells. And I was like, oh, I want to hear it. It was at night. We'll see. Anyways, okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
I just hit my chin and bit my
I don't know what just happened.
Are you okay?
Back to silly goofy time.
Are
I bit my tongue. If I just like spit out a piece of my tongue, sorry. I barely bit it. I'm so sorry for saying that.
What a time to be alive.
I'm feeling really goofy today. I'm tired. I'm really hot from moving my stuff. Back to you, Pam.
Thanks, Sadie. I don't know. Anyway, so just clairsentience is feeling, and that's my strongest one. And it's so funny when like you feel the emotions of spirit or just like of the situation. And I was doing this, I was channeling something for my mom, and I was talking to like both of her parents, and it was just like I was like on the phone with her and I just was like sobbing and I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm just feeling a lot of emotions right now.
What's that from? Mean Girls? Where she's like, I just have a lot of
Literally, that's how it was. And it was just, they were just like there was just so much love coming from them. And it was just, it was really crazy. But then it happened again. I was reading at an event on Saturday, and this girl asked me about, she's like, oh, I just got engaged. So, like, I'm curious about like the relationship and the energy of it and just like where we go from here kind of thing. And then I just started crying, and I was like, I can just feel how much your like fiance loves. And then she started crying, and then I was crying. It's just like we were just crying, and it was really funny.
I can hear a phone ringing. Okay, I don't know what that was. Did you guys hear that?
No.
There's something ringing. Okay, it's not my phone. Maybe it's the neighbors. Sorry. That is, you're both crying.
It's funny.
That's so cute. I've definitely had that in reading. Or I'm the only one crying, and they're just like,
yeah.
I'm like, sorry.
Oh my god, there was one girl.
I feel things really deeply.
I know, seriously. There was one girl like that where I was, when you like read for somebody and you're just like, why did you even sit down if you're just like not even gonna be remotely open to this? Yeah.
Like really closed off. I'm like, I'm getting nothing, girlfriend.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
Like, can you like even like turn the handle? Like, you don't even have to like crack the door. Can we just like turn the handle? Because your energy is so closed, I can't even read you right now. But yeah, that's kind of my silly goofy. And then my one other silly goofy that I thought would be fun, because I was at the zoo yesterday, it made me think of it. What is everybody's favorite animal? And if you can't think of one, let's do like top 3.
Yeah, I can't think of a favorite.
You don't have like a favorite?
Single favorite?
Oh.
It's hard to pick a single favorite.
It is really hard.
Mine is a cheetah.
A cheetah is your single favorite.
Well, I have like a lot of favorites, but that's like if you were like you could only choose one. Cheetahs.
I think, yeah, like I think probably cats and monkeys. Like monkeys since I was a little
in general
girl. I had this little stuffed monkey that had like a little diaper on it, and I would change that diaper 5 times a day. And I would like make sure my parents were around, because I'd be like, they see me taking care of this thing so well, they'll probably get me a monkey.
That was funny.
That was like my dead ass. I was like, hey. I did that for like 2 years.
Like any specific kind of monkey, or just like any monkey?
Just monkeys. Like when I went to Bali and like I got to hold monkeys 2 different times, but the first time and it was a monkey with like it was a mommy monkey with a little baby clinging to her belly. The baby was in my hand and I was crying because it was just like the baby monkey I used to carry around with me when I was a
You're
little
like,
girl.
this is it.
I know, like I fucking manifested it.
That's cute.
Let's go.
And it was incredible. Yeah, like Bali when I was just looking. I look at the videos of this again all the time. It's so lame, but I rewatch the videos. They're like
That's what they're
tons of
there
monkeys
for.
just like crawling up me. There, I had like a long braids, and it was like swinging from my braid and using it to like that. It was so cute. So monkeys, and then for like and then cats. I just love cats. Love them, and dogs, and butterflies, and otters.
Okay.
And I could go all day. Hannah?
I would say one of my favorites is owls, which I'm excited because we booked when in Japan they have owl cafes, and we booked like a little spot for an hour to. They bring one to your table on this like little thing that they stand on, and you get to pet it. And they're small, and they're just I'm really excited.
Very exciting.
Like I was determined to find a cafe that was not booked because most of them were booked for the week that we're going to be there. We finally found one. So, but
I love that.
That's crazy.
And also tigers and lions.
And bears, oh my.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah, I would say cheetahs, and then also dolphins and elephants.
I think about like once a week the fact that I saw on the internet that I just believe, but I don't know if it's true, that said that like when elephants see humans, that it's the same spot lights up in their brain as when we see puppies, so they think we're cute.
That's adorable.
And
We'll buy that.
And I think about it. And so anytime I'm at the zoo and I see an elephant, I'm just like, so cute.
Honestly, I might even start adding meerkats to that because the ones at the zoo, they have them at the zoo and they're
really cute.
So cute.
They're really.
You know what's really cute? Red pandas.
Oh, yeah, my friend Mac, those are his favorite animal. Every time I go to the zoo, I send him photos of the red panda.
Those things are so cute. I want to cuddle them.
They're very cute.
Like all animals.
Yeah.
Me gonna start crying. I was named after an owl, Hannah. A little owl. And after it died, it was like at an animal sanctuary because it got like injured and so it just lived there forever because it couldn't go back in the wild. And after it died, the foundation place like sent my family like framed photos of Sadie the owl and her like story written up because we would go visit her like every year when I was little. And I just have there's just this framed photo of an owl in my house. That's my namesake.
For the full story, tune in to episode 3, Deities. Deities.
Cliffhanger. That's it. No, it's because my mom was pregnant with me and she saw it and she was like, screw that other name we had. It's Sadie. And that's how I became Sadie.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I like owls too. Shall we?
We shall.
Transition. Shana. Transition into spooky, scary story time.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, well, it's spooky season, folks.
Yeah.
We're well into it. And so we just thought we'd have a fun little episode. Think of this like we're all sitting around the campfire. Telling our scary stories, having s'mores.
Having s'mores.
So everybody grab your stick and
not a flashlight. Grab your flashlight.
Yeah.
And let's get talking about scary.
Kind of crazy. We used to just like go into the woods and pick up a dirty stick and put our marshmallows on it.
Well, you burnt it a little bit first, right? To like
Yeah,
clean
but
it.
the inside is not. Oh,
Did you not put it in the fire to like sanitize it first?
nope. One time at camp, I have a scar on my toe because
Did you
at
step on
camp,
it?
no, at camp, it was like a day camp, so we didn't have like a fire pit or anything, but we used like a grill to like roast our marshmallows. And a piece of somebody's flew off through the air and it landed on my toe.
The
And
marshmallow? The like
Mhm.
hot marshmallow?
Yeah, it was like on fire and like landed on my toe.
God.
And I have a
Death
scar on
by
my toe.
marshmallow.
Yeah, literally.
No, that's a scary story.
That's
Everybody be
actually-
careful.
Yeah.
And that's
it. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Hannah?
Hannah, tell us your scariest story.
The
Scariest
scariest?
story.
Okay, that's hard. Okay. I would say, because I have a few of them, but the one that's more, I guess, kind of like it's spooky, but it's also really wild because of the activity was I worked at a coffee shop in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in the square, and the little coffee shop was only there for a few years, but I was 24 or 25. No, I was 24 when I started working there. And pretty quickly, I realized that this place was super creepy. And like we would typically open, whoever the opener was would open alone. And so I started doing that. And one morning, I was bending down to grab something to restock for the front of house. And I saw this tall, I thought was the owner, walk behind me. And I was like, oh, hey, Matt. And then I turn around and there's no one there. And I'm like, oh, shit. I go,
Oh,
I'm not happy.
you got a ghost.
And then like I started talking to the other people that work there about it, and they're like, yeah, we've all seen it, except like the manager. She's the only one I'm pretty sure that never had one experience, and I have no idea how, because there was a lot like I guess not like seeing things, hearing things. The freezers would start banging against the wall while customers are in the building, and I'm like, sorry. And I have no explanation for them. Like, sorry,
That's George.
Ghosts,
Back there.
Sorry, that's our
mad
ghost.
that
That's
were
our
open right
poltergeist.
now. And it was so loud, and the lights would flicker, and you would hear like when you would go down the hallway to the bathroom. Sometimes you would hear someone stomping upstairs,
Mm.
and then in the women's bathroom, some people would see a woman with her hair up in a bun and a purple dress looking at them in the mirror and scare the crap out of them.
That I
But
don't like.
no,
That's
Unsubscribe from that story.
unsubscribe.
Yeah.
yeah, but like they were very physical because I was talking to one of my, team members about my experience one day, and all of a sudden a bag of coffee that was stacked on top of it was like the refrigerator behind me. One of them flew off and hit me in the back of the head really hard. And there's no like there was no airflow. Like
He
it
was
did
like,
not
yeah, bitch,
randomly
that's
fall.
me.
Like that thing flew and hit me in the head. Like I was like, okay, I will shut up.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
yeah,
that is so crazy. He was like, yeah, you're talking about me.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here.
well,
That sorry, I started talking before you were done, but that honestly makes me think of they say that there's like a ghost on the at Disneyland on the Matterhorn. Do you know what I'm talking about, Hannah?
no.
Okay, you
No,
nodded.
no.
And I was like, do you know what I'm talking about? They say that there's a ghost, and whoever works that ride, you have to say, like, hey, Debbie, like when you open the ride, and you have to like acknowledge her. Otherwise, the ride is like breaking down all day. It stops working. Like, people
Oh
have
my
like all
God.
kinds of issues. Yeah, and you just have to like acknowledge like, hey,
Hey, Debbie.
hey Debbie.
Let's have a great day today,
Yeah.
girl.
I think that's
Wow,
the
that's
name.
scary.
I think that's the name. But yeah,
Wow.
isn't that so crazy?
It is
That's what that made me think of, where I'm like, oh, you just have to start acknowledging them. Be like, hey, we're opening today. I hope you had a good night. Like,
Yeah, you don't want to make them mad.
Things got my head today.
yeah.
Well, and you don't want to make them mad is because at least in that kind of situation, one of the girls that worked there in the morning, well, she did like a close-in, so you close and open.
Yeah.
And she
Oh,
was
the
so
clothing
annoyed.
days.
Yeah, right. I
I'm like,
hated
oh,
those.
that word just like brought me back to retail. I'm like, oh.
Well, she was very, she's very sensitive and she could see things. And she was really overwhelmed one night and she started yelling at them and was just like, I hate you guys. Like, I wish you would just stop bothering me. And she just like went off on them. And then she had to open the next day by herself.
Like,
And she walks in, the lights will not turn on. All of the chairs are taken off the tables and put all over the room.
that is so
The
crazy.
Well, and then like the
Goosebumps.
I know, right? It's so creepy. Well, there was like this mosaic glass thing that hung above the bar. A part of it
no.
fell out and shattered. And then she saw all of them at the same time approaching her, and she ran out and had a panic attack, called her boss and quit. So, yeah,
And the ghosts inside are like, well done.
exactly. So, yeah, and I
That is
refused to go in there alone. Like my boyfriend at the time, I made him go with me when I opened. I asked my boss, I was like, "Is it okay if I bring him in with me?" Because I will not work in the mornings if I have to go in there alone. It's too just. And he was like, "Sure." He knew that there was a lot of activity. So,
That's crazy.
oh, one
Wow.
last thing that happened that was just insane. Like the little fly killers. It's a light, like a So it didn't work the whole time I was there until like right before I left. He went to replace the light bulb because we had a really bad fly problem. And I mean like all year round kind of fly problem. And as he was replacing the light, all of the freezers and fridges started banging really loud and the lights were flickering in the entire building. And I was like, I don't think you should be changing the light bulb. It didn't stay on very long. Let's just say that it went out pretty fast.
Maybe they like don't like the sound.
I don't know. I don't
Or
know
they
what
like
it
the
was.
flies.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, I thought that was crazy.
Dang. Because like the like frequency sound of those lights.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it bothers me.
I
wonder
can't.
if they're
Yeah.
like,
I don't like
Like
it
when
either.
a TV, like the screen goes black, so it looks off, but you can like hear it.
yeah.
Okay. That was a crazy story. That was a good way to kick this off. Oh my God.
Yeah. That was a good one.
I haven't had really many like, or if any, like physical experiences, like paranormal.
Ooh, that's
Other
nice.
than, yeah.
Yeah.
Like one apartment I lived in with my friend Claire, like she lived there for a while first. And then when I moved in, she was like, yeah, I think we have a ghost, but just doesn't really do any much. Once in a while, like we'll like open all the cupboard doors or like move stuff. So every once in a while we would just be like, if it started doing stuff, we'd just be like, hey, like it's cool that you hang out here, but just like, and you can do your silly stuff, but just don't scare us, okay? So it was never a
Yeah.
problem. But sometimes it was funny because like neither of us would like leave cupboard doors open or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, this ghost must have been a man because men always.
I know,
do that,
seriously.
Serious.
but we'd like, whoever came down first, like the cupboard, I don't know, they would be open or something. But it was never like scary. It was just kind of funny. And whenever it happened, we'd be like, okay, that's fine. Just don't scare us. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
But I never really like saw anything with my eyes or like saw a cupboard opening or saw something move. It was like, wait a minute, I know I set that there.
Yeah.
What the it was a little like like it was just sort of like it was like a lighthearted energy and just but like to like prank us a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the most physical experience I probably had. And it wasn't
That
scary
sounds
at all.
very nice.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that's
chill.
relaxed. That reminds me of I worked at a juice bar here in Nashville years ago that the whole team was aware that there was a ghost in the house. It was a really old house that was flipped into a juice bar. And we would randomly, like, the back door would randomly open whenever we're closing out of nowhere, or we would just, like, little things would happen. And so we started putting him on the schedule. Barry, we called him Barry, the ghost of Barry Hill. Yeah. He was very well known, the ghost of Barry Hill. But he was always friendly. He was an old man that passed away. And I think he died in the home. But
my my great aunt, she's like a Reiki healer, and so she's in tune with stuff. And I remember being little and she was telling these stories and I was like, what? Because she was so just relaxed and chill about it. But she said that, like, at her church they were like remodeling the church, so they auctioned off some of the like altar pews and stuff. And so she took one home and she was like, yeah, the darndest thing, a little old man came home with our altar pew. Sometimes when I walk, because I guess they had it like in her basement, and when she would like see down the stairs, she'd just like see him chilling there, and he was just always near his little pew. But I was like, that doesn't scare you? She's like, oh yeah, this little old man came home with us.
Old man.
I was like 8. I was like, what? Aunt Penny, what? She had other ghost stories too, but I just remember that reminded me because he's such a sweet old man. Just
Wait, what is her name?
Penny.
Oh, I thought you said Pammy. And I was like,
my great aunt and uncle are named Ken and Penny, and they're really cute.
Very cute.
I just think that's a cute couple name.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, she had that story, and then she also said where she worked, where she did Reiki healings, and it was like a place where I think like a bunch of ladies sort of like rented it out together, and there was like a masseuse and like different kind of like related like health and wellness stuff. But they had a ghost, a woman. This is more scary, but a woman was shot there and died. She was like attacked by, I don't know if it was like her boyfriend or something, but she would hang out I guess it happened in the bathroom there, and like their customers would even say things where they're like, I just feel like I'm being watched in there.
yeah.
Like, and like sometimes she saw things because she was more in tune with it. But then I loved Harry Potter, so I was like, oh my god, it's like Moaning Myrtle, like she just hangs out in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But those are stories from my great aunt.
Dang.
Okay, Pam, now I need to hear one of yours.
Okay.
I need to hear one of yours.
I have so many, especially from this one house that I lived in here. This is also the house that I met Hannah in. We didn't live together, but we have a mutual friend. That's how I met her. And oh my goodness, when I toured the house, my roommate, our friend Steffi, showed me the basement, and I was like, "Ooh, I hate it down here." And she was like, "What are you talking about? It's fine." Like, she was like, "There's nothing down here," and I was like, "There's for sure something down here. This is not. I do not like it down here." And this is also like before I knew that I was like tuned into anything.
Yeah.
And then I would never go downstairs into the basement unless somebody else was home, or I would make one of my brothers FaceTime me, and I was like, if something happens to me, at least then someone knows, like, it was just really scary down there, bad vibe. And then finally, I was just like, once I met Hannah, I was like, oh, good, now you can check our basement.
Like, come with me.
Yeah. And then, anyway, long story short, we found out that there was this guy, and it was kind of like Sixth Sense style, where like he didn't know he was dead. And so he was just like so angry. All these people were in his house, and he kept trying to push us down the stairs. And then, am I forgetting anything, Hannah?
He had a wife.
Oh, yeah.
And twins. I can't remember if both, I feel like one of the twins passed away at birth.
Yes. Okay. So at 7 or 8 months, one of the twins died. And then at 17, the other one trigger warning, committed suicide.
Oh,
And tragic life for this couple.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it was interesting because like I got all this information, and one of the other roommates, she was like, I need to find this on ancestry.com. So she runs upstairs to her room and is like looking it up. She finds the family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that, that they did like the, like all about, I think I even got like one of their names because he kept saying I think one of the son's names. And then the age of, I think I think it was his age, the father's age. There was all this random information that she was able to find on ancestry.com.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Which I'm like,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it was crazy.
yeah, I was grateful that she looked it up because I was like, I was new to working with the dead. So I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Please look it up. I want to know if I'm accurate.
Yeah, I know, because I feel like I've had so many experiences where just, I don't know, I eat out by myself a lot, so like sometimes I don't mean to. I just like feel like I like read somebody at another table or something.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not gonna be Long Island medium and go walk up to somebody and be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's been so many times where I feel things so clearly, or I see things so clearly, or hear things so clearly, but you can't verify it a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
And or you walk into a place and you experience a wave of something, right? Or I don't know, like, yeah, I feel like in passing people sometimes I just feel like I like see their life and I'm just like, I'll never know if that's real. So that's so cool that you have the opportunity to actually be able to like, like
Verify.
look it up, verify
Mm-hmm.
what was coming through. That's why readings are so cool too, right? Because you're sitting with the person and they can verify things in real time. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. That house
But
was
also scary and
crazy.
sad.
Yeah. No, that house was very crazy. Things would move all the time on their own in that house. There was, because this is like, I hadn't even like started to try to learn yet. We hadn't gotten there yet. And there was just like, but our roommate Steffi was able to tune into things. And so there was one day I was cooking on the stove, and the flower pot at the window and this at the sink went like this and like started like moving around, and I was just like, Steffi. And she was like, okay, 1 minute.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
There's so many things like that. What else happened in that house? I had my first sleep paralysis, first and only, knock on wood, sleep paralysis in that house. And I went to a bar one night, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's like one of the oldest bars in Nashville. It's like near Centennial Park. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I left there, got home. I was home alone, and my room was on the second floor. I was the only room on the second floor, like the only thing on the second floor. And there's knocking at my window. 3 of them, like all over, just knocking, 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 knocking. And I was like, what? What is happening? And it literally was like Disney's Haunted Mansion, like the hitchhiking ghosts. Like there was 3 of them. They like all followed me home because they were like, oh, we thought you could like help us. And I was like, listen, you guys are thinking I'm way more advanced than I am, because like this is not, we're not there yet.
You should really check people's resume before you follow them home.
Yeah, seriously. So that was also really scary at that house. I think that's everything at that house, unless I'm forgetting anything.
Nothing that I can recall.
Do you have any other stories? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say just that, didn't Steffi put invite like a unicorn spirit in the basement?
Oh, we had a unicorn in the basement. No, she was one of my guides. that just popped up.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember she had like a stripper name.
I can't remember.
Wait,
Her name
more
was.
context to this. I need to understand what you're talking
I
about.
think she ended up staying at the house as like a protector for the house.
Yeah.
It was literally like Cupcake Sprinkle. Like it was like literally just like the
That sounds
most
like a
ridiculous unicorn name.
Oh my god.
Can't remember. Um, what her name was, and if I could find it again. Um, yeah, I don't even remember the story. She just like showed up one day.
I just remember that Steffi mentioned it and that I tuned into the unicorn, and it was this massive unicorn in the middle of the basement, which the basement's not that large.
No, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's all.
Oh.
yeah. Oh, and that guy had created a portal in the basement. That's what the other thing was.
Oh, that's
What is this, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer show
Yeah.
episode?
No, that house was in. Oh, and we had the PK that was in Libby's room.
PK?
Yes.
What's that?
So a PK is whenever I think there might even be different forms of it, but whenever someone is very psychically gifted or just very energetically, like there's a lot of amplified energy coming off of this person and they're having a hard time expressing their emotions. And so it slowly creates this energy that comes off of them that eventually can develop a consciousness and act as a lower vibrational being. And that some people might mistake as demons. And if it is in some ways controlled by that, actually in a lot of ways is controlled by that human's emotions. And I've even heard stories of this one woman that was mad at her, I think it was her daughter-in-law, and that PK energy from her that came off of the mom kept tormenting that poor girl because she lived in the same house, her and her husband, which was the woman with the PK. So she was the mom, and it was this whole thing, and she had no idea. And so I don't know what the outcome was with actually getting rid of it, but yeah. So,
God.
and they are typically there's an attachment to it, like there's a cord going from the human that consciously, or it's more of a unconsciously created it because they just can't express their emotions. They struggle to. They might not know how to. So it can create like depressive or super angry energy, and it affects everyone in the house.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I think it was there before she got there or something, which I don't know how I didn't notice it, or maybe I did and just thought my nightmares were normal or something because I was in that room before her.
Yeah, sometimes they break off from the human, or the person passes away and the PK stays there. And so I think it was more of one of those situations of the PK just stayed in the room. But
Wow.
yeah.
This is interesting because I was just going to say, I was going to ask your psychic professional opinions on this. So when I was little, the first house that my parents bought, it was like this little fixer-upper house. But I didn't understand this at the time, but looking back on it, I'm like, oh, it was like a party house. Like probably pretty hardcore partying, like drugs and stuff. Because when we moved in, one, we had to paint all the walls because they were yellow because they were smoking in the house, like nicotine coated all the walls. And then like so many of the walls and doors had holes punched in them. There were holes all over the house, even in my bedroom. And when one, hated the basement, super scary, couldn't go down there by myself, felt like I was going to be murdered or something. But there was a literal bar down there, like an actual like full on bar, huge sink, like it could have been like a restaurant bar. It was huge, like full on. And I mean, I don't know, most of my like younger childhood was in the house so I guess it would make sense because I'm like, when I was a kid, I was just such a nervous, scared kid all the time. I was so scared of the dark. I always felt multiple times, I guess I have seen stuff. I saw what looked like, oh, what was that noise? That scared me. Did you hear that?
I thought that was from you.
I thought that was from you too. It wasn't on my end.
Okay, we're moving on. Continue with your story. I'm gonna keep
No,
warning her out now, though.
I saw little like red orbs of light that looked like little red eyes peeking through my windows at night, and I would be so scared, and I would cry and I'd beg my mom and be like, "There's a little tiny crack in my blinds. You have to fix it," like because I was too scared to go near the window. And I was always just really scared and nervous in that house. I would sleep with my closet light on, nightmares all the time. But later in life, I've wondered, I'm like, was it because like the energy there before us, the partying, the obvious anger, that like, did I just like feel that? Like, I don't know. Or did it, I never like, there wasn't like paranormal experiences, like ghost stuff, but I was terrified all the time there. And even
Yeah.
as I got a little bit older, I felt that way. I don't know why.
Oh, I would say, because I've heard of the red eyes many times. So whenever there's a place that has a lot of abuse and there's partying, it attracts a lot of, because it's a very dense energy. Alcohol in general can make your frequency drop if
Yeah.
you have a high frequency. And so um, what I'm kind of picking up on it, and I feel like I would have to do some investigating to really know like exactly what happened. But it just feels like there was a lot of residual energy left over from fights.
Yeah.
And then there might have been a few lower dimensional beings that have just been in the home for a long period of time. Or if any, there, I don't know if I can't tell right now if anyone was actually murdered in the home or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm from a small town, so I feel like we would just know because it's a
Yeah, you
small
would have.
town.
Yeah, it feels more like, because whenever people get into fights, that energy can break off and replay
Right.
itself.
Yeah.
And so it feels like it might be a little more related to that. But the red eyes typically is more connected to either interdimensional beings or lower vibrational beings,
Yeah.
is usually what is when from any story I've ever heard of red eyes. I don't think that you were making it up in any way. Like, you know how sometimes whenever you're a child, uh, later in life, you're like, oh, I was imagining that.
Well, I always told myself, I was like, oh, those are just brake lights from cars, but my window didn't face a street or a driveway. So it didn't really make sense.
Right.
But that's how I explained it to myself. I was like, oh, it must be like brake lights from a car, because that's the only thing I could think of with like two red lights like that. Because that's, I mean, honestly, that would be, it was like light like that though, like bright, like lit up, like glowing,
Oh, so it wasn't like, okay.
So
I
but
think it was
like when I
more
think of that house, I'm like, I don't know how it could have been brake lights. I don't know how a car would have been facing that. It was facing the neighbor's house. That window was facing just the side of my neighbor's house. It was a side, you know.
yeah.
That's how I explained it to myself when I was little, though. I was like, oh, it's just lights from a car, even though
I
I
just keep,
was terrified.
I just keep feeling over and over again that there was a lot of manifestations happening of like super amplified emotions that were replaying
Yeah,
over and over again.
yeah, yeah. Like I don't think it was like haunted per se. I feel like it was like that
Energy.
energy of like the tenants before and the things that went on there, and it just like stuck around. And yeah, like nothing, yeah, like nothing like dramatic happened. Not my, it didn't really affect my family that I can remember. It didn't make us like fight or anything. Like my parents fought like, I don't know, a normal amount for like a regular couple. I think like they were always together, you know. They made it till death did them part. So I don't think it like manifested in my family. Like I don't remember it causing like stuff like that, but I felt those things. And
Mm.
yeah, I always just like think about that. I'm like, that was so weird. But then we moved to our next house and I was also really scared there, and I had sleep paralysis and saw really scary, terrifying things during my sleep paralysis in the later house. So I don't know. I'm always like, I never had any experiences growing up that would clue that I was psychic. And then I think about it more and I'm like, well,
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
one thing that I've learned is that if you, it's, you know, even as a child, like if you live in a state of fear because of experience, and you continue to live in fear, it can attract a lot of energies and spirits into your environment. And
Yeah.
so it might not have, I'm not saying that this is necessarily what happened. I'm just throwing that this could be a possibility that your home might not have really had anything this the second home, but there might have been some things that were attracted that knew you were afraid
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah.
And so would come in at night and mess with you then. But I don't really pick up that there were any like dead people or
No,
anything.
it was a new
at that home.
house. We were the second
Okay.
tenants. It's a new
makes sense.
neighborhood. It was, but to this day, when I go home, I think it's just memories of having those experiences there.
Yeah.
But I rarely and it's just downstairs. I've done spell work upstairs, but one time I did a spell and I went like deep into meditation and I just felt like, nope, we're not doing this. It was like, I felt like energy behind me that wasn't meant to be a part of that. And I just felt like I was working with my guides and they were like, no, we're done. We're not doing this right now. And I was like, oh, okay. And I like,
Okay.
Interesting.
but not something that necessarily like lives in my house or is attached to my house. But I just can't figure it out because it was a new house when we got there. I don't know why there would be anything there maybe it followed me from the other house. I don't know, but I still get the willies down there.
Well, it doesn't really matter if a house is new, if there's anything attached to the property.
Yeah.
Even sometimes there's situations where somebody will bulldoze a house and whatever is in that home will either stay on the actual property until something else is built there, or they'll move to the house next door.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like a new development out in the country where they like kind of like it would have been like nature or whatever before. Who knows what could have gone on there in the history of that property. So it could be something very, very old. I don't know. You never know.
I keep getting the feeling that it was something native.
Yeah.
Which
That's what I was gonna say. But then I thought I was
I didn't make the house. I don't know. I'm not trying to do anything. But then when I'm upstairs, I'm fine. And I don't feel those things. It's like when I'm close to the earth there. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense. They're very protective of their land.
Yeah.
According to what tribe it is and, what they went through with, whenever a lot of them were murdered.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the trauma and the tragedy that runs deep there. So yeah, I should do some research about that. But I always thought that was strange. And actually, I just keep remembering things, but my mom who said this, and I think my dad even admitted it once. Sometimes we would see a little boy run across the hallway upstairs.
Really?
But it was just like you would see some, and I had little brothers, but it would be like they weren't home. They were out playing in the neighborhood or something. You'd be like Tommy? But it was like, wait, Tommy's not home. Like that was weird. But it was never anything that didn't feel spooky or anything. It was just like, oh, that was weird.
That could have easily been, there's always like timeline jumping or energy gets trapped. Yeah. Like there's so many, it's not always like just a spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we tell spooky stories about lower dimensional beings or ETs?
Yeah. You guys have some?
Mm-hmm.
I've got lots.
Yeah. Do you want to do the scary lower dimensional being and then the ET?
Sure.
Do you guys hear that?
Uh-huh.
A little bit. But wasn't as loud as the other one aired. But that was in my headphones. The other one was not from me.
That was definitely in my headphones.
Okay. So 2 years ago, I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't put up proper protections. But there was somebody that I was talking to, and he was like, I just got home from tour, and it feels like somebody has been in my house. Like it feels.
I was gonna say in me. I was like, oh my God.
Like it feels like somebody has been in my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's weird. And he was also tuned in. So he's like, I don't think like anybody broke in. Like it feels like there's just like something in my house. And I was like, that's weird. Like, maybe I could just like get an idea of what's happening. So this is like before I got out of even my bunk in the morning. I'm laying there in my bunk and I just like tune into the house just to see if I could even just like feel the energy of the house. Mistake. Mistakes were made because I'm laying there tuning into the house and now I can't move my body. My whole body is frozen. Like it feels like I am being pinned down by like a ton of weight. Like something is forcing me down. I can't move my head. I can't move my arms. I use every ounce of strength in my body to turn my head and like rip out of the grip because it feels like somebody's on my face like this, like holding my chin. And I start in my head like screaming. I was like, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, please.
Oh my God,
Please help me. And then finally, I'm able to like break away from it. Like, I think like with Archangel Michael's help and whatever. So then, long story short, then I call Hannah and I was like, something happened. And then I was like, can you like tune into this house? Like something really like fucked up is happening.
She's like, bitch, after that, you know.
And I was like, this literally calls for way more advanced hands. Like I do not, this was way above my pay grade. Like this was not, I was not.
You gotta check this resume.
Yeah, I gotta check the resume. I was like, I was not prepared for this. And so then she tunes into it and I'll let her tell you her side of it. But she calls me back to tell me what happened. And she's like, I literally don't know how you even got out of there because that was
my whole body
a heavy, horrible energy. It was like a lower dimensional being, a low vibrational being, whatever you want to call it. But take it away, Hannah. Your side of things.
Over to you.
Well, there are some of them out there that are very, very advanced and very old. And I'm not entirely sure where this one came from. I just remember that a lot of like its facial features kind of looked like a dinosaur for some reason, even though it wasn't one. But that like whenever I tuned in, it's like it almost ran to me and it was pressing on my brain where I couldn't think straight. And I was able to move my body, but I wasn't able to, I was just like, the hell is happening? Like, and I called in Michael and Archangel Azrael, and I was just like, can you guys please take care of this? And I gave it a few minutes and then it started to ease. And I saw them take care of it because they'll give me a vision of them taking care of the lower dimensional being or whatever it is. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Crazy.
And then the guy that brought it up in the first place, did he say like, oh?
Yeah, he was like, oh, it's much better in here. Like energy is so different.
Oh my God.
Don't know. I think it like came, yeah, I don't know. I think because we were on a tour together that had a lot of heavy energy, I'll say. A lot of icky things. So something followed me home from that tour, and I think he just got the worst thing that followed him home, luckily. And
wow.
Yeah. The one that followed me home from that tour, genuinely, if you guys remember the Scooby-Doo movie, the like live action Scooby-Doo movie where they go to the like spooky island and then there's like the purple monsters. That's what mine looked like. And he wasn't like necessarily scary. He just was kind of like an asshole. Like he tried to like scare me, like jump scare kind of things. But he wasn't like, it wasn't like icky.
Yeah.
He just would like wait for me to, like, you know, those like videos of like cats that like wait at the edge of the doors for like when their owners. Like literally, like
Yeah.
That
that's
I never want a cat. I understand. Those are the cats that ruin it for all the other cats that make people think that they don't like cats. I'm like, you little assholes.
that's literally how it was.
Oh my god,
Um,
that's so funny.
yeah. So that
I
was
love that Scooby Doo movie.
so good.
I want to watch it. That's a
Yeah,
top 10.
that's
For
so
sure.
good. That was
We,
what?
we both went. I was gonna say, me and my brother would rewind the scene where Shaggy farts in the suit of armor over and over and over again because of the dogs. We gotta look up that scene on YouTube and send it to my brother and make him
Yeah.
laugh after
My
this.
brothers and I would talk about how they needed to make that whole experience like into a real life ride.
Yeah, the whole Spooky Island should be
Yeah.
a whole theme park on its
Yeah.
own. Oh my
It would be
god.
very cool.
Yeah, I want to go to Spooky Island. Is that what it
But
was called?
obviously,
Spooky
like
Island?
without the like actual monsters and things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of like what else. I have a scary dream I can tell, and then we can also talk about the ET in my apartment, Hannah, that you had.
Oh, you mean the Men in Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't even ETs. Those are a whole nother breed. Yes, we can definitely talk about that because that
You
was
want to talk about that
it's
one?
funny now. It's
Yeah,
funny now, but I was more mad than scared. I was like, why? I'm as mad at myself because I totally messed up. So you were on tour, right, Pam? Or no, you were
No,
visiting your mom.
it was at Christmas. So I was
Yes, you were.
home and
Mhm.
I had been seeing, it didn't look like anything I had seen before. So I had told Hannah, I was like, hey, by the way, when you're staying at my apartment, there's this thing in there that I've been seeing. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. Maybe you
by the
can.
way, I have a visitor.
Yeah. And it was like, it looked like silver streaks every time
Interesting.
I would like
Which,
see it. And so I was
which,
like, maybe you can figure it out.
and I did, unfortunately. Which I've been,
Unfortunately.
so, like my boyfriend and I ended up staying there for a few days, and I quickly tuned into it and found that there was a gateway in her bedroom. A gateway is like a door into another realm of existence. And I saw, so there were the Men in Black kind of situation, but they were almost like machine like. I've encountered them before in another unfortunate situation, which I'll definitely tell that if you guys want to know. Um, but I thought it would be a good idea to try to shut the gateway down because I've shut down lots of portals many times with Merlin, and so it's like easy peasy. No, I accidentally messed up the grid in the gateway and didn't shut it all the way and just completely morphed it to a point where if anything tried to go through it, it would like mess up the being. And they were mad and they would not let me sleep. Like they were shoving me in my sleep and giving me severe migraines when I was there, only when I was at the apartment. And I was like, I messed up. So, because I didn't even get it closed all the way for one. And so I ended up tuning in and finding out they're like, you should always double check what it is and if you can actually do it, if it's in your highest good to do it before you try to. Because and I was like, well, will they be forever mad at me? And they were like, absolutely yes, because they find you a threat.
Like,
Um,
yes, forever.
you can't really backtrack this one or fix the situation because they are redoing they have to go through and completely fix the whole gridding system of the gateway. And so, which is going to take them a long time to do because it's very specific. And so, yeah, which it's been there for a long time. And it was just their way of accessing people. And I don't even remember exactly what for.
I don't either.
But they were messing. I remember they were messing with you, Pam, on some level. but we were able to set it up where they didn't have access to you anymore. I just remember that. But
Yeah.
they did not like, I couldn't even tune into the situation at all, or they would give me a migraine. So, but it was a whole thing. And I didn't work with them or try to work with them before. But I did have like the situation with Men in Black. My friend Kevin was telling me a story of an experience that he had with, I would say like interdimensional beings. Um, maybe one day we can get him on the show if you guys ever want to
Mhm.
interview him. He has the most amazing stories, but I will let him tell this story because it is his. But after he told me this really long story, I have a tendency of tuning in when people tell me stories. And I went to bed and I woke up with bruises all over my thighs.
I forgot. Yeah.
And I had flashes, memories of these people. I thought they were people in all black with black helmets pinning me to the bed. And that's all I know. That's all I remember. And I ended up having to go to a psychic about it. And this was way before I ever started my business and had a clear understanding. So I went to that psychic and they told me that it was Men in Black and that I made them mad because I was tuning into something I wasn't supposed to tune into. And so it was more of a warning.
Mm.
And I was like, I told Kevin, I was like, maybe we should put up protection or something before you tell me these stories, Kevin. But yeah, it was pretty, I was a little scared, but it didn't like, it was just weird. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that Men in Black were a real thing until that happened.
I didn't know that until now. I was today years old.
I forgot. Was this related to like our Men in Black situation? Remember when I woke up with markings on my neck?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was that situation or like an ET situation.
I remember it was in the same apartment.
Yeah.
I want to say it was, but at the same time, I don't want to say it was because I can't remember
I can't
fully.
remember either.
All I know is that and this is just from my personal knowledge, like the things that I've learned from research, listening to other people's stories, and channeling, is that Men in Black are not human, um, but they're more of like, I would say, interdimensional beings that work for certain groups that there are theories. I will give theories that they are involved with the government, but I
I
don't
was
know
just gonna say that
that is.
I bet they are. Yeah. The government is
I would like to do this to keep myself safe, but also
okay,
like I don't have
well,
proof. I don't have proof.
I mean, they openly study psychic phenomenon.
They do.
I love reading CIA documents specifically. They teach about like manifestation. They teach about remote viewing. All of these
Mm-hmm.
things, they explain it. So I mean, it's not far-fetched at all that they would have literally like a department that works with interdimensional beings. They
Yeah.
have psychics on
Yeah.
staff. They have psychic spies. Like these things, I mean, it's all out there. I mean, they publish stuff about this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, of course they work with interdimensional things. I
Yeah.
can't imagine they don't. That would be like,
Well,
you know.
well, and like I have a few friends that have told me stories of how they have memory of being in what would be like the secret space program. There's like a specific program of where they worked, like their soul was pulled from their body and they were in an almost like underground here on Earth doing like they would do research on their soul and do like make them do all these different things. And they had very similar stories. I feel like I'm butchering this a little bit, but I would, if I can, if either one of them do interviews on it, which I'm trying to encourage both of them to, because they're the same. Their stories are identical. They've never met each other.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and there are others that have similar stories that like they've each met other people that have similar stories. Um, but I would love for them to like, tell like what they've been through, what they remember. And some of them, like one of them did it through hypnotherapy,
Mm.
retaining their stories, what happened to them, because it kind of comes off more as a dream.
Yeah,
But then
that's
it
how
like,
mine was.
and so yeah, and that's kind of like where those like I guess Men in Black come in, because it can be somewhat tied to that with tuning into those kind of places. Like I've definitely like, because when I've listened to stories like that, I tune in on accident and I'm like there, and then I've been like energetically attacked um a couple of times. So I'm very careful now whenever I hear stories, just in
Yeah.
case.
One of my
So,
favorite documentaries, and I can't think of the guy's name now, but basically he worked for the government, very, very high clearance, like the highest clearance you can get. And now he makes documentaries about aliens, basically.
hmm,
But it's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Back in the day, it
yeah,
was always on Amazon. I love
yeah.
it. I love the way he teaches about it, talks about it. He takes people on experiences to contact them. But that's the idea, is like when we think of aliens, like a lot of people think of them like, oh, they live on Mars or something, like a different planet. But he's like, it's actually more of, rather than like maybe that's true, but it's more of a dimensional situation. It's interdimensional, not necessarily like what planet do they live on then,
Hmm.
if aliens are real. It's like, well, they
Yeah.
exist in different dimensions. And they're like, they usually show up in our dimension as like light, or different kinds of frequencies. But that,
Yeah.
if anyone like loves this stuff, and the way he talks about it and explains it, and the things you see, it's not scary at all. It's really
Mhm.
fascinating. One of the things that I always think about is because he takes people on these um uh I guess like retreats, these experiences, and helps that, like teaches them how to like call on the beings and have these experiences, whatever. And a lot of like spontaneous healings and things will happen.
Mhm.
But one of them, they went into their cabins for the night, and one of the gentlemen felt this pull to go back outside. And he did. And I can't remember the details of the story, but basically he had been deaf his whole life since he was a small child. I don't know if he was born deaf or it happened very, very young, but really has no memory of ever being able to hear. And he felt called to go outside. I think he like saw something or had this experience, went back. The next morning he's at breakfast and he was like, I can hear you guys. What the fuck? Like his hearing was just spontaneously healed. That's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also a lot of them, like whenever I've done research on extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings, they're also from the future. Like, because time doesn't really exist.
Mm.
For us, we've been programmed that like there's the past and like this, we don't really have access to it
Yeah.
besides studying. But, like I've learned a lot from extraterrestrials, or like I'm trying to even step away from that word and call them interdimensional, because
Yeah.
a lot of them are even advanced in the future humans
Mm.
that are trying to
Mm.
help us through, like big time times in human history. Goes, like
Yeah.
whether it's giving support or providing information to try not necessarily change the situation to, but kind of like better it in some ways, or they want to help the earth um, in whatever way is needed. And so I have came across that a couple of times. I have also talked to a few of them that are from other planets, but it's more of like it's even hard to describe the description of that. because it is like what you were saying. It's like in another, because a lot of them vibrate at a higher frequency
Right.
because of what they can do, and
Yeah.
so it could even be a planet that's a lot closer than what we think because it's vibrating at a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
I
that's on it.
I also found it so interesting to learn that like pretty much anyone that you talk to that's like lived on a military base like has seen UFOs and had experiences. Because, and especially if somebody's on a base where they're doing testing, specifically like nuclear testing or other type of testing, and they keep an eye on us and they intervene to protect us because they're like, God, these stupid fucking humans. We have to play God, and we have to make sure they don't take this too far, and they'll like mess up. Like they'll like the power will go out, and they're about to like do some sort of test or whatever, and it's just crazy. But like, yeah, like there's literally like we're like the babies, I feel like, in the galaxy, like Earth, and there's a lot of more advanced civilizations, and we're figuring all this stuff out. But also like, I think like humanity. I don't know if this is true, but my thought is like humanity is pretty unique in like our egos that we have, like the ego self. And that makes us want to play God, like in a broad general sense of humanity. And so we're just like, they're like, oh, we have to go
Put it down.
We have to go like mess this up. Oh, you guys are taking it too far again. I thought that was so interesting. I was like, oh, that's so nice. Just like, keeping an eye on us. Don't blow up the whole planet.
Literally, that makes me think of the book of did you guys ever read The Fifth Wave?
No, but I've heard of it.
Probably because I talk about it a lot. But it's well, now I don't want to spoil it, but it's similar to that, is all I'll say. And I really do like they made it into a movie and it was really, really bad. So if you watch the movie, don't judge it off of me. But the books, there's 3 books. Yeah. And they are really good. I like them. I read them a really long time ago, but I remember enjoying them. But yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any other stories, Hannah?
I actually really love telling this story because, like, you know, a lot of people, whenever they hear about grays, they are like, "Oh, they're scary.
Can you explain what a
They
gray is?
kidnap you." A gray is it
like
is a
alien?
you know, it is an alien, an extraterrestrial being that, you know, people usually know. There are multiple different types, by the way. There's not just one specific group of grays that are the little 2.5, 3 feet tall gray that are bald. They usually like have like massive black eyes. Their skin looks all silky and almost like dolphin-like skin, and that they're known for being involved with the abductions. They're the ones that like have crashed in the earth, and they've, you know, like in a lot of those ships that have crashed, and it's in the newspaper a long time ago. It's usually grave related. But most of the abduction stories, if not all of them, are about grace. You know, so people look at it as scary, and a lot of people have had scary experiences with them, or they felt like was scary because when they were abducted, they, you know, like they did experiments. They wanted to do testing and stuff on them, and there's even a lot of information about that they will, that they're involved with breeding. And so I personally don't think that all of them are that way. I do think that there's there's neutral, there's good, and there's bad in every single thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I have heard stories that people have encountered grays that were very fascinated by humans because grays don't have emotion. They don't, you know, and so they find humans really fascinating because we can feel emotions and we tap into it really easy. And so, my encounter, I had one 5 years ago. No, hold on. When was that? I would say it was like 4 years ago. It was my old house that I lived in with a couple of my guy friends, and a friend came over and she was wondering if she was abducted because she has memories that felt like a dream. And she like wanted me to check to see because she just had a feeling that there was like she got that they put like a chip or something in her. But also I think it was a chip, but I know that like she had memories of them like going through her stuff and her being on the table. And so I was like, yeah, let me check. And so I tuned into the whole thing and was describing everything that I saw. And then once her and I were done, she left, went home, and I was just watching TV. And all of a sudden, I see in the corner of my eye a being standing there, and it was a gray, and it was tall. It was like I'd say it was about 4 feet, 4.5 feet tallish, which is pretty tall for a gray, at least from what I've heard. And I could see every part of it fully. It was fully standing in my living room, not see through. And its skin was shiny, looked like a dolphin. And it was muscular. It was just staring at me. And I could feel like whenever they tune into me, I can feel it because my whole body will start vibrating. And I feel like someone is in my energetic fields observing it and scanning me. It's happened to me many times whenever I've tuned into extraterrestrial stuff. Um, and this was happening, and I was looking at it and I went, oh, and it looked at me and it was like it's like it had a oh shit moment and
Like
like
you both are seeing
disappeared.
each other, you're both amazed. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like
He's
gasped.
like, she can see me.
Yeah, it like gasped and jumped backwards and disappeared like instantly. And I was like, oh dang it! Like I
Wow,
scared
he
it
was
off.
probably really interested because it felt that you were able to tune in and then wanted to tune into you. And I was like, oh wait, shit, that means that she can see.
Yeah.
Like anytime, like for a whole year and a half, Fencel and I, we would watch a bunch of like, ancient alien
Oh,
documentaries or,
I love that
just like
shit.
a bunch of extraterrestrial like interviews and stuff. And I actually kind of like tapping into it a bit, but I will, like I said, I automatically do it and I have to like try to force myself to not.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times that whenever we are like getting ready to go to bed, I will see one coming in the room. Like I will see it pop its head through and it's like and look at me or like and like I could and it's like how Pam like you said that it looks like a silvery
Mhm.
shiny. A lot of times it would be similar to that or like a white glow shimmer, but it was you could see like the head in this body coming through the wall. And so I would see that. And then I would close my eyes, and sometimes I would see their face, and I could feel them examining me. And I would tune into Michael and be like, "What is happening?" He's like, "Just relax. They'll leave in a minute. They're scanning you." And I would call up one of my girlfriends that's used to these experiences, and I would have her channel for me to see what was going on. She's like, "Yeah, they didn't do anything to you. They just were body scanning you. They wanted to know what you're capable of."
Wait, I had a dream like that once.
Really?
Was it real?
Well, that's what they usually do is like if they don't want you to scare people, and so they'll make it off as like it's a dream.
Yeah.
Also, my mom, um, when she was young, had sleep paralysis dreams that she was being abducted and thought that they were real until like later in adulthood. And then she learned about like sleep paralysis and she was like, oh, it was just that. It was just a dream or whatever. But
Mm.
it was the same as when I got it. Because when I got it, I thought I was possessed. And didn't tell her. I didn't tell anybody. I was so scared. I slept with a rosary clenched in my fist, falling asleep. So I was so scared
Aww.
after my sleep paralysis experience. And then I finally told her because she was like, Sadie, you look bad. You look like you haven't been sleeping. I was like, and she was like, oh, that used to happen to me. I think I'd been abducted a bunch of times. No, it's just sleep paralysis. But I'm like, I wonder if she really was abducted.
More than
Probably.
likely, there's a huge possibility she was being abducted because it's very popular for them to do it to like under the age of 21.
Yep.
Is usually once you turn 21, you're done. They don't really care
Yeah.
unless you're in a soul contract, and then that's different.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
as she raises her hand, because she this, we've talked
Because
about that.
that's also what my mom explained to me, and that actually fits the bill, because if you look at studies of sleep paralysis, they say, oh, it's usually in late teens, early 20s, and then it stops.
Mhm.
You just said that, but that's science. It's just science. But I was like, but like, for why? But that's what happened to me. I had it in my late teens. I had it probably until I was probably 21 or 20, maybe probably like 23, but I had it the most intense, the most often, from like 18 to 21 all the time.
Mm.
And then I've had it a handful of times since then, but I'm really good at snapping out of it, because I'm like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, whenever from the age of, what was it, 13 to 17 for me, I would wake up almost every single night feeling like someone's stabbing me in the heart. And I later found out, I would say a couple of years ago, found out that I was in a soul contract. Where they would, like, my soul would be pulled out of my body. It's still connected to me, but I was doing work in the astral realm, helping interdimensional beings that I was in a contract like I was doing like energy grid work and like doing healing. And then they would have to slowly put me back in my body, but it would cause the reaction of a heart palpitation attack.
Jeez.
And they put me on a heart monitor. I mean, they did all kinds of stuff at the doctor. They
Yeah.
said, there's nothing wrong with you. Your heart's perfectly healthy. We see no signs of anything. And I was mad, because I was like, I thought there was something wrong. And then it stopped. Once I turned 18, it stops. And every once in a while, I'll have it if I get really
Yeah.
stressed out. But it's almost like my body's remembering something, and it'll have it. And it's usually random moments. But yeah, and it happens like every single night or most nights for years.
Wow.
Dang.
So
I do feel like multiple times, it always happens if I'm listening to light language when I'm meditating. But it's a pleasant experience. But I feel little beings come down and do like surgery.
Yeah.
And it's like the coolest thing ever. And it feels so good. And I always have like really powerful breakthroughs after that. But I literally, it's like I see they're like little busybodies, and they move through your body, and they're like, and sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I feel like that too, but it's like pleasant. But I don't know who it is.
Do you listen to a specific person that's speaking light language, or?
I really like I go to her name's Heather, Activation
The activation girl.
Activation Vibration. Yeah.
I really like listening
Love
to
her.
her light languages. And yeah, but I've listened to some other people too randomly. And it's not every time, but it's only ever when like I'm listening to light language that it happens. Where I have meditations like that, where I feel like I feel like I can like see these little energies, and they're like little surgeons, and they move through your body and fix stuff. It feels cool.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love her.
Yeah, she is great. Sorry also that I just moved and probably made a lot of noise. I was like, I need to close my blinds right now because it's dark outside.
Usually I can't hear anything if it's not like in front of the camera.
Okay, good.
There's the body. I just randomly am like, there's spirits. No, there's not. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Oh my God, you know what? That made me think. Okay, wait. I have one dream to tell, and then actually I was gonna tell a story, but then I was like, this is Hannah's story, so I'll tell that out. Well, we can figure that out after. Okay, so I had one dream to kind of switch topics. This was, I don't know, maybe a few months ago. I like kept waking up like maybe like 3 days in a row. I kept waking up like every few hours, and then at 4 o'clock I would just be awake for the rest of the day. And then finally, the next night after this, I woke up at 4 o'clock, and well, okay, so I was having a dream that I was like working an event and I was like walking back outside to my car. I was like taking all my stuff to like put into my um cart or something like that. Like I had a cart and someone had blocked me in. And I was like, oh my God, now I can't leave. And then I had this like spiral thing on my cart and it just starts spinning really, really fast. There's this like weird energy that I'm feeling. And then do you guys know like the Lana Del Rey version of Once Upon a Dream?
Mm-hmm.
It was like that, but like really stretched out and slow and like spooky. And then I like forced myself awake because I was like, yes, this is terrifying. And then I woke up and the light in my closet is flickering. And
No.
I was just like, not fucking today. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And I was so freaked out and I just laid there like this. And I like called in Archangel Azrael and I was like, please, 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 like. And then I called Hannah later in the day and was like, please just like help me make sure that whatever this is gone. And there was just like some being in my room that was really fucking with me for a few days. So that was unpleasant.
Sounds unpleasant.
But
oh my God. This
you
is
talk.
I'm just remembering this is how scared I was as a child because I still do it to this day. It's such a habit. So when I was little, how I would self-soothe and try to fall asleep was I went to Catholic school, so I don't know, I was into Jesus and stuff. So with my breath, it was like I guess it was a meditation, but when I would breathe in, I would think Jesus, and when I would breathe out, I'd think loves me. So I'd be like, Jesus loves me, Jesus. Because I was so scared and I thought that like if I say this over and over, he's protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I still fall asleep like that, just automatically. Like that's what I'm thinking as I sleep, because I did it since I was like teeny tiny, since I was probably like ever since I can remember, I did that because I was so scared at night because I just always felt like there was just darkness. And I'm not scared now falling asleep. I feel fine, but it's just such a it's like this loop. Something that I've never told anybody that before. Now the whole world knows, but I still fall asleep that way, and I'll like notice it. I'll be like, oh well, I mean, I guess it's a nice way to fall asleep. That's how it's self-soothe. Just when you said you like called in, you know, Michael, Archangel Michael and Ezra, I was like, oh, I guess I always just like fall asleep, being like, Jesus, you here? You got me, bro.
My guy.
My guy.
Though you just talking about like your new space, it made me think of Hannah when you were traveling a lot and all the things that would happen while you were traveling and just like the just like being in new spaces all the time. Like you don't have your like standard protections that are up and you have to build the protections and the I forget, there was one that we tuned into I can't remember where you were. But there was like a little girl. It was the first time I ever smelled something. I can't remember what that Claire is called, but
They're aliens.
Claire aliens.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I heard that.
What was that?
I think it's a motorcycle, but that really scared me.
It sounded like a growl.
It did.
Sounded like someone.
I've had my ear out the whole
Or
time.
like a burp or something. It sounded like it didn't sound like
It's a motorcycle. I can hear him driving away.
Hey Alexa, play that back.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So yeah.
Alexa, play that back. I'm not the producer. Okay, go on.
I'm trying to remember which place that was because let's see.
Ooh, geez, I just got to chill. Sorry.
Oh, no, I got it. You passed it to me. Woo!
Like the wave, but with the chill. Oh no, you froze
Into my shoulder. Oh no, I'm frozen.
I can't remember which one that was with the little girl because we stayed in Philadelphia and it wasn't there.
No, I think it was like a wooden house. That's what I always imagined.
A wooden house.
Yeah.
I mean, we stayed. It might have been the cabin we stayed in Mississippi.
Was that the one with the lake?
Yes.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. I barely remember that one. That one was not I would say that was on like my least favorite places that we went to because
That one also had the gnome.
I remember the gnome. Yes. Yeah, that place had really weird energy and we got flooded in, so it was like we couldn't go anywhere. It was kind of sad.
Crazy.
Um, oh, yes, I remember now because
With the
the place
grandma.
the place that got flooded, but he had to stay at a different Airbnb that he owned. And I felt so sad for days that we were there. And then you tuned into it and we were like figuring out what the heck was going on. The little girl liked my energy and sat beside me, and she was sad. And then I felt sad because I felt her. And then her grandma was crazy
Crazy
and
grandma.
like psychotic. It was just, we had like, that was a whole thing. And then
Mhm.
once that was taken care of, I felt fine. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And like, yeah, that was it. Beautiful house, comfortable, but good Lord, that was a lot that week. Um, but yeah, I would say like out of all of those places, the Denver was probably like I think I
Really?
had the most.
Worse than New Orleans with all the
Oh
witches?
yeah, yeah, that
Oh,
was
would
such
you?
a.
What?
I don't
Well,
remember
whenever
Denver.
we were driving into New Orleans, we passed a massive cemetery. And whenever we got to our Airbnb, I was being like attacked by a group of witches because I tuned into something with I passed like where they were and they followed us. But like thankfully they weren't able to do a whole lot because the owners of the Airbnb put a like there was they brought a deity in and for protection. Like there was even money randomly, like little pennies and stuff through the apartment. And I tuned into her because I was going to put up protection and I ended up encountering her and she was amazing. She did a great job at keeping out dead people. Like besides the witch situation that were very, very angry witches, like they just wanted to harness my energy. That was the whole reason why they followed us. Um, and once that was done, we never really had any issues in that apartment. Now, if you walked outside, there was a church across the street that was just covered in dead people.
Hmm.
They were flying in the air. It was everywhere. Like it was
Was it a church or was it a
crazy.
replica?
A replica. Was it a
What's a replica?
Was it a replica? That's funny. No, it was definitely a pretty old church. Like I could throw a rock at it. That's how close it was to the apartment.
Mm.
Wow.
But yeah.
Why would um don't know if anyone knows the answer to this, but why would a spirit want to stay with the church?
Um, it's more they weren't in the church, I don't think. They were running around the church. There were a lot of dead people everywhere because New Orleans has got a lot of history of
Yeah. When I went there,
old.
I felt a lot of energy.
There
I didn't have any
black
issues, but
there were crows everywhere constantly. And
yeah.
like it was cool. I liked that part.
Yeah.
But you could feel this energy in the air that felt very mystical. Like
Yeah. It feels
a lot of
very mystical there. Yeah.
Mhm. And so they're just I kept seeing them walking outside and flying in the air around
Huh.
the church. I don't think it's because of the actual church. I think it's the location.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, I guess there's just strong spiritual, like there's just strong energy there. So
yeah, and there are dead people that it's not necessarily the entire, like it's not the whole soul. It's like something that broke off from the person that passed that really felt deeply connected to the church and they were afraid to move into the light. And so they just will stay in the church. Sometimes that
Catholic guilt
Yeah.
will get you even after. They're like,
That's how they get you.
They're like, I'm not certain I'm going to go to heaven, so I'm just going to hang around here for a while until I can feel
right?
that out more.
Yeah, makes them feel safe.
Luckily, when I went to New Orleans, the only thing I did, I was only there for like 8 hours maybe. Because it was like an off day. I think maybe we actually had like 10 hours, including like sleeping time. But I just met a snake and his name was Lewis.
Oh, whoa,
that's
that's
cute.
you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That doesn't look like you.
I know I was blonde and I didn't have bangs.
Every time it's like, yeah, Pam just always Zoe Deschanel's me, and anytime she shows me a picture without bangs, I'm like, who is that?
Who was that?
Is that your cousin?
Crazy.
Crazy. Wow.
I don't know how long we've been talking.
It's over an hour and a half. We should probably wrap it up. I think probably about an hour and a half. No,
Yeah.
actually maybe 2 hours.
Well, if you're still with us.
This was awesome. Hannah, thank you for sharing your amazing stories and coming and hanging out with us again. This was so fun.
It was so much
Pam,
fun.
are you going to do the outro too? You got this. And C.
I'm trying to remember what you say.
You don't have to say it the way I say it. Tell us about our social medias. The
Okay.
Witches ones. Lay it all on us.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Giggly Witches.
You can find us.
Pause for applause. You can find us. You can find us on social media, on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
What?
At Giggly Witches. And Hannah, where can we find you?
Yeah.
So I'm not on YouTube yet, but I'm working on it right now. You can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, at Rainbow Ray Path. And I've got lots of videos on there of energy work and just talking about the spirit realm. So, and if you want to book a session with me, link is in bio on both pages.
And we will link everything in the show notes. And if you haven't yet, go listen to our other episode with Hannah all about the Akashic Records. That was also
Very
amazing.
cool.
And I've heard from so many people that was their favorite episode. So
Yeah,
go
very,
listen to that
very
one
cool.
too if you haven't listened to all of them. Pam, what about you, your personal stuff?
You can find me at. Wait, is this thing on? Has this been on the whole time? Can you hear me? Okay, now I can hear myself. My
I
volume
heard
is
you
just
the whole time.
okay.
2 hours later. Wait, is this thing on?
You can find me. Sorry, I keep hearing things now and I'm very freaked out. You can find
gotta
me.
go do a
We gotta wrap this up really quick.
Yeah.
At Velvet Snake Oracle on TikTok and Instagram, and for a limited time, probably for the next like 10 days. And then they might go goodbye after 10 days. But for the next 10 days, I have tarot readings available. They're one-on-one calls. We'll deep dive into whatever you want to talk about. And they're 25% off with code SOS25.
And I'm Sadie. You can find me at I am Sadie Olson on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me on YouTube, Magic with Sadie, and I've been uploading lots of guided tapping videos. There's also some witchy masterclasses, some spells, some meditations on there for you. If you have any requests for guided tapping, slide into my DMs.
Okay.
And if you want to come to the Hot Witch Scripting Club and write your best November of your life so far into existence, come on down, go into the show notes, get in with here with us. It's my new membership. It's only $29 a month. And this month we are going to do some Qigong energy work, which is going to be so fun. It was one of my most requested all-time favorites from back from my old membership. And we're going to do some time traveling. We're going to heal a little bit of our inner child that might be a little bit afraid of the things we want to write into existence this November, so that we can wrap up 2025 strong. So it's going to be really powerful. It's going to be really fun. I hope to see you there. And then all month long, we have a Telegram group chat where I slide into your DMs once a week or so, and I just drop some inspiration, keep the motivation and the energy going so we can all create our big dreams and juicy goals every month. So it's a great place to stay accountable and daydream together and do magic together. And I hope to see you there.
I've been getting a lot of messages about doing stuff with my inner child this week. So
you should come.
You'll also see me there. We get both giggly witches, but Sadie will just be doing all the stuff and I'll just be attending.
I can't wait. It's gonna be really powerful and really fun. Yeah, we're gonna do scripting as we're gonna rewrite our childhoods basically. It's gonna be really fun. Very, very excited. Yay. Okay, well, thanks, giggly witches.
Bye.
Bye.